All right, so this report is to help walk you through the process of creating a check request for consignment vendors. So we're going to focus on last month's sales with Wild Rose. What we want to do first is take into consideration that before you create a check request, you want to make sure that you're only needing to cut a check for the last month. Now, obviously, this is the 30th that we're running the reports. You would want to wait until the end of the last day of the month or the start of the following month, in order to get the whole month in these reports. So this will not be the official October check request, but we'll walk you through the process as though it were. So the first thing I want you to do is go up, toggle over back office and go into the back office reports category. And then I want you to, instead of using one of the auto-generated reports I have created in my reports, which you should have access to because they are registered as public. I just happen to be the owner, but everyone should be able to see the reports that I've created. So you should see this big long list under my reports. And my reports, you can see right at the top here is Consignment Sales Report. So you're going to go ahead and click this. Now, this report, while it will generate a whole lot of information, there are some additional steps. It's not just this report that you need. You need to kind of manipulate the data so that it provides you with the proper information. So in order for us to do that, we have to pull the date range. So we're going to select date range here at the bottom. We're going to select from October 1st to today. We're going to go ahead and obviously at the month end, you're just going to hit the date range of October. So you would just go October 1st to October 31st. We can't do that today because, well, October 31st hasn't happened yet. So this will take a little bit of time for it to load all of the information, because what it's doing right now is looking at every consignment item that was purchased or sold in the month of October. So it's pulling up all of those orders, and specifically quantity-wise pulling up all of those items. Now, what's interesting is that it will pull it up in the individual order format. So what you have to do is open this report as it's generated here. So you can see under ordered products, it's giving us the product title, the quantity sold, the unit price, and the discounted amount. So from here, we can generate how much was sold and for how much. So what we want to do now is scroll up, because there's a lot of information here that you've got to organize. And you're going to go to the export drop-down menu and select Excel. Now, we're going to utilize Excel maybe in a way that you haven't done before. So we're going to hit Enable Editing. It's the more you do this, the more those reports will become valuable that you pull off of OrderPort, because this information organization tip will be invaluable to you when you're pulling out information off of OrderPort. So the top two rows I don't need. So I usually just go through and delete them to make sure that I don't accidentally highlight them. Now what I want you to do is as you can see here, the product title actually is accounting for 2 columns. And when we try and organize this information, it doesn't know what to do with column B. It sees column B as it messes up the formula that we're going to create. So what I want you to do is highlight it, right click, and just simply hit delete. And as you can see, it's moved everything over. Nothing's been deleted because that was actually those were all empty cells that were just going to get in our way and make the Excel report that we're going to pull up very confused. So now that we've deleted that extra column, I want you to start highlighting all of this product information. What I need you to do is remember not to highlight the total amounts. That's unnecessary information, but make sure that you highlight the title cells. So product title, quantity, unit price, that has to be highlighted. Otherwise, the system doesn't know how to organize the information. So now you're going to toggle over to Insert. Once you're in Insert, you're going to toggle over to Pivot Tables. Now, when you click on Pivot Tables, a secondary screen is going to pop up, and it's just going to want you to confirm that the table range that you have highlighted is what you actually want to focus on. It is. We're also going to tell it to create a new worksheet. You're going to hit OK. And as you can see here, a secondary worksheet tab has popped up here at the bottom, just titled Sheet 1. So if you clicked over on Master Sales, again, original information, Sheet 1 is the pivot table information. So the first thing I want you to do, we're going to organize this by the product title. So in order to do that, we're going to grab that product title and we're going to drag it down to rows. And as you can see, it organizes all of those product titles, singular, represented here over to the left. And then we're going to organize by quantity, the values. So now it's telling you how much of those item totals we have. So it looks like we sold 35 scented candles with lid. We want to know what the unit price was, so we're going to drag that down to values as well, and as you can see, it populates next to it. And then we want to know what the discounted amount was, because from here we're going to be able to determine what the total amount was that's been processed. So here we go. We're going to highlight the unit price and the unit discount. We're going to actually do that again because I want to get the totals in here. We're going to right click and format these cells because it's kind of confusing when you look at it. It's just numbers, but we actually want it to be represented as currency. So we're going to go ahead and mark this as currency, and as you can see now, there's a dollar amount actually associated with it. And it didn't change the values at all, it just represents them in a more accurate way. And this field here also needs to be formatted for currency, because what we're going to do is actually create some sum totals. So here we're going to highlight this top one, because what we want to do is figure out what the total amount of these products were. So we're going to toggle over to auto sum. We don't want the quantity assumed in this formula, so we're just going to hit enter, and as you can see, we only highlighted the unit price and the unit discount, and what that gives us is what the customer actually, like the monies that we actually received. Now from here, what we can do with this formula is copy and then drag down, highlighted all the other cells, and we're just going to hit paste. And that does the same thing. It takes away the discounted amount and tells us what we actually earned by selling Wild Rose products. Now, as you can see here, you can double check this rustic heart large. See, this is all over here to the left. These are all consignment items. They don't necessarily mean that they are Wild Rose consignment items. So when you're actually putting these products into the system, you really want to make sure that it specifies if it's a Wild Rose product. And as you can see here, we have duplicate items, very irritating. So we're going to have another video where we go through and actually clean up these items because you have duplicates. As you can see here, there's a Wild Rose sea salt and vanilla caramels and then salted caramel up here. Same item represented in different ways. So I believe that this rustic heart large was actually a product of Sweet Rust & Co. So we're going to have to remove that from this report in order to properly account for these items, so we don't overpay Wild Rose and short our friend over at Sweet Rust & Co. So from here, now we want to create an auto sum of what we made. And we made $1,208.63. Now we owe 70% of that total to Wild Rose. So first we want to remove that rustic heart. So what we're going to do is actually highlight all of this. We're going to copy it. We're going to create a second secondary worksheet. We're going to insert the copied cells. And from here, we should be able to remove. It does not want us to remove that item. So, let's delete that and try that again. Go back to the worksheet. If we don't highlight the title, I think it will just provide us with, yes, it will just provide us with the information that we require, and then we should be able to delete. See if it'll let us. Ah, yes, it will. All right, so from here we want to put back in product title. Quantity. And total. This one. Price. All right, so now we can create our sum total once more. And as you can see that when we took that $52 out, the grand total changed, which is what we want. We get to keep 30% of this, so we're going to put in here a formula that allows us to calculate what 30% of the value is. Oops. 30%. So we'll go down, highlight right under the grand total, which we can bold. So let's create a formula equal times 0.3. So we get to keep $346.99. And now we're going to do check request. Which will actually be equals. So you put the equal sign first. We're going to select the grand total and subtract the 30%. So we will be cutting Wild Rose a check for $809.63. Now, I like to make this check request look very official. So if you're familiar with Excel, you can do that quite simply. Toggle over to styles and create a header. You can insert a title by highlighting this top row, hitting merge and center, and title it October consignment check request. Okay, and then I usually toggle back over to styles and I make that the title, usually October. Okay, and this really lays out, I very much like to do totals. Check request amount would be a total, formatting. So just make